Welcome to 11 Recaps. If you enjoy this summary, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It really helps me keep bringing you engaging content. Ready for your support? Awesome, thank you. Let's dive in. A plane accident takes place in an isolated wilderness, resulting in a group of friends being ensnared within a threatening ring of crocodiles. The narrative commences in a biochemical lab located by a river, where illegal drugs are being synthesized. Without warning, a DEA unit storms the establishment, triggering a fierce clash between the agents and the drug producers. While some individuals manage to flee, others begin to destroy the drugs and chemicals, but many face a tragic end. The narrative then transitions to a university classroom, where a biology lecture is underway. The instructor poses a question to Kyle regarding the aggressive behavior of apex predators. Kyle adeptly answers, articulating that aggression serves as a survival mechanism. Following the lecture, Kyle encounters her friend Alice, and her joy at seeing her is evident. Alice leads Kyle outside to a waiting vehicle, where Jamie's friends, Sam and Malika, are already present. However, upon seeing them, Kyle's demeanor shifts, prompting Alice to provide an explanation. It becomes apparent that Jamie was Kyle's brother, who has passed away, and that Kyle and Alice are en route to scatter his ashes. Jamie's friends express their desire to accompany them on this journey. Alice encourages Kyle to remain calm, acknowledging Kyle's discomfort with Malika and explaining that they are using Malika's car since Alice has sold her own. They all then enter the vehicle and begin their journey. Later that evening, the group gathers by a swimming pool, where tension arises when Alice suggests that Kyle should move on from her grief over Jamie, implying it is time for her to heal. This suggestion proves challenging for Kyle. She stands up and walks away, watching a video of her brother, which leads her to break down in tears. The scene transitions to a flashback, highlighting the cherished moments Kyle spent with her brother. The following morning, Malika rouses everyone from their slumber. They subsequently arrive at a gas station, where Kyle peruses a newspaper article detailing gator attacks in the bayou. She notices a man laughing nearby, who is holding the same newspaper. He cautions Kyle to exercise caution. Afterward, they all return to the car and continue their journey. Alice guides them along a route that leads to a gator park, ultimately directing them to an airport. This revelation surprises the group, particularly because Kyle harbors a fear of flying. The upcoming journey poses a significant challenge for her. As they approach the airport, Frank discreetly conceals a liquor bottle in his pocket, catching the others off guard. Frank greets the group and begins to light a cigarette as they walk toward the airplane, despite the prohibition of smoking on the airfield. He then announces their destination for the day, Florida. The group includes Kyle, her friends, Maud and her husband Clarence, Zoe and her husband Dom, and Rufus. With that, they board the plane and take off toward their destination. During the flight, Rufus engages in gossip on his phone, disregarding repeated requests to turn it off. Clarence, frustrated by Rufus's antics, reacts angrily, but in doing so, he accidentally strikes his head against the plane's ceiling, causing him to fall. Suddenly, the plane jolts violently, and the engine begins to fail. Panic ensues as passengers scream and chaos unfolds. Despite her fear of flying, Kyle manages to maintain a surprising level of composure compared to the other passengers. The engine has malfunctioned, and the pilots are struggling to regain control. The radio is inoperative, and no solutions are apparent. A window next to Zoe shatters, and Clarence lies injured on the floor. Kyle commands everyone to remain seated. However, her head strikes the interior of the aircraft with tremendous force, rendering her unconscious. A sudden jolt then causes the plane's windows to shatter, sending shards of glass cascading onto the passengers. Kyle suffers injuries from the broken glass, and blood begins to flow from her wounds. Abruptly, darkness envelopes her. As she regains consciousness, she experiences flashbacks of Jamie, and her eyes gradually open. The aircraft is severely damaged, partially submerged in water. Kyle, injured and disoriented, clings to her seat while other passengers attempt to navigate the water. The plane has crashed into the river, and Alice, also surviving in the water, clings to a section of the aircraft and swims toward Kyle to assist her. Sam is in the water with them, voicing his concern for both Kyle and Alice. However, instead of aiding them, he focuses on his own escape, which seems rather absurd. Debris from the plane is strewn across the river. Frank is tending to Zoe's severely injured arm. Clarence has perished, leaving Maud in a state of shock. while the remaining passengers are engulfed in panic and fear. With no means of communication or a functioning aircraft, their predicament is dire. Nevertheless, Kyle maintains a sense of hope. She approaches Zoe and takes a belt from Sam to fashion an emergency wrap for Zoe's arm. Frank calls out for his missing co-pilot, Ray, as he stands by the river. Uncertainty looms over everyone regarding their next steps. In the meantime, Maud blames Frank for the crash, alleging that he was intoxicated during the flight. When Malika tries to approach Maud, she is pushed away. As they begin to gather their belongings, Alice suddenly has a reckless idea and ventures alone into the jungle. As she delves deeper, she discovers a crocodile egg on the ground. This action seems utterly foolish given the circumstances, revealing her greed and lack of judgment. It is an unsettling situation. As the group prepares to advance, Zoe notices Ray struggling in the water, prompting Frank, Sam, and Kyle to hurry to his assistance. However, before they can reach him, a crocodile surfaces and seizes Ray, dragging him beneath the surface. Panic ensues as everyone screams and Frank, Sam, and Kyle quickly retreat from the water's edge. As they move northward, Maud catches a glimpse of her deceased husband, while Ray's lifeless form is ensnared among the debris in the water. The crocodile returns to its nest, where only a single egg remains. Alice has taken the others, an act of utter shamelessness and greed. The group continues their trek through the jungle, desperately seeking an escape. Meanwhile, Malika struggles to keep pace with Kyle. They eventually pause to rest and ignite a fire. Frank takes a drink from his bottle and offers it to the others, but Kyle declines. Before long, everyone succumbs to sleep, except for Rufus, who rises and ventures into the jungle. There, he discovers a vibrating phone, and as he answers it, a crocodile attacks him from behind with brutal ferocity. By morning, the group finds Rufus's body, horrifically mutilated and drenched in blood, with his intestines exposed. The gruesome sight causes Maud to vomit. They resolve to continue onward, with Kyle identifying potential crocodile hiding spots. As they strategize for a safe passage, Maud falls behind, and suddenly a crocodile appears, dragging her away. Screams erupt as the group flees, pursued by crocodiles, one of which comes alarmingly close to Kyle. The terror is palpable. If I were in Kyle's position, I would have succumbed to fear at the mere sight of a crocodile so near. It is a nightmarish scene. In their frantic escape, they spot a cabin and rush inside. However, a crocodile lunges at Zoe's leg, attempting to pull her out of the house. Sam strikes the crocodile with a stick, enabling them to rescue Zoe. They attempt to secure the door, but the crocodile persistently tries to break in. After a struggle, they successfully lock the door, and the crocodile eventually departs. They hear Maud's cries for assistance, yet they are powerless to help. In the river, they witness crocodiles attacking one another. As midnight approaches, a fierce storm unleashes heavy rain and lightning. The group gathers closely in the cabin. Kyle drifts off to sleep and experiences a flashback involving her and Jamie in a store. During this memory, robbers arrive, and while Kyle and Jamie conceal themselves, the robbers begin to torture a man for money, threatening to kill his child if he does not comply. Jamie quietly picks up a screw and strikes one of the robbers on the head. However, another robber retaliates and attempts to kill Jamie. Kyle seizes a nearby gun and aims it at the robber. Before she can pull the trigger, the robber shoots and kills Jamie. Kyle awakens from the flashback, and Sam presents her with a map he discovered in the cabin. The map indicates a building, but reaching it requires crossing the river. Malika contends that taking such a risk is futile and insists on staying put. She accuses Kyle of being responsible for Jamie's death, suggesting that she will endanger the others as well. Malika then attempts to snatch Jamie's ashes from Kyle, but Frank intervenes, asserting that this is not the appropriate time to revisit past grievances. Following a vote, they resolve to proceed and take the risk, hoping to find an escape route. As they venture into the jungle, Zoe's condition deteriorates due to her pregnancy and injuries, prompting her to declare that she will remain behind. Dom, however, refuses to abandon her. Malika proposes leaving Zoe, which infuriates Dom, while Zoe expresses a wish for Malika's demise, suggesting it would be preferable if the selfish Malika were to be consumed by a crocodile. Alice once again acts recklessly by wandering alone into the jungle, where a crocodile is resting. She picks up a stick, taunting the creature, and pokes it in the face. Upon her return, Kyle expresses concern for her safety, which intensifies when he notices blood on her hand. The blood, however, belongs to the crocodile. The group hastily boards the raft, eager to depart, but Kyle realizes that his bag has been left behind. Sam volunteers to retrieve it, and just as he does, a crocodile appears, prompting him to swiftly grab the bag and flee. Unfortunately, 2 more crocodiles enter the river, swimming toward them, instilling fear in everyone as they anticipate imminent danger. Meanwhile, Zoe's demeanor is enigmatic, suggesting she may have ulterior motives. Will she sacrifice Malika to the crocodiles or take another course of action? The outcome remains uncertain. Panic ensues among the group. Zoe gazes at Dom with a blend of sorrow and affection, smiling as she conveys her feelings for him. Just as Dom turns to Frank to request the stick, Zoe leaps into the river. In a selfless act to protect her loved ones, including Dom and their unborn child, Zoe makes the ultimate sacrifice. Dom witnesses the unfolding tragedy and attempts to reach her, but his friends restrain him, forcing him to watch as the crocodiles claim the life of his beloved. This moment is profoundly emotional, highlighting the stark contrast between the self-serving Malika and the altruistic Zoe. As the sun sets over the river, the group finally arrives at the factory indicated on their map, the same location where their journey began. Inside, Frank discovers armor-piercing rounds that the DEA had used against the lab workers, revealing the factory's involvement in illicit drug operations, thus confirming that it is not a safe haven for them. Malika, undeterred, moves toward the factory entrance despite Frank's attempts to dissuade her, unaware that crocodiles lurk within. Everyone enters the building, where they discover torches. Frank activates the power supply, revealing that the area is stained with blood. They decide to divide into 2 groups. Frank, Alice, and Malika form one team, while Sam, Kyle, and Dom make up the other. As they begin to investigate the factory, Frank directs Alice to explore one path while he and Malika head towards the upper corner. Malika grows suspicious of Frank's motives, and he ultimately exposes his true feelings, confronting her with anger about her past actions, including her mistreatment of Maud, her conduct in the cabin, her torture of Kyle, and her intention to abandon Zoe. Frank accuses Malika of her cruel behavior and forcefully pushes her down. Meanwhile, Kyle discovers a severely injured boy who works in the factory. As Malika, having fallen, clings to a metal rod, she pleads for forgiveness, imploring Frank to help her. Kyle approaches the boy, but tragically, he succumbs to his injuries. On the other side, Frank continues to torment Malika until a crocodile suddenly emerges and drags him away. Malika screams in terror, prompting everyone to rush to her aid. They enter a large hall where crocodiles are resting. Kyle signals for silence, indicating that the exit lies on the opposite side. He cautiously steps over a crocodile, followed by Dom and then Alice. However, Malika, in a panic, rushes forward, creating a splashing noise in the water on the floor despite Kyle's warnings. Alice successfully crosses, but when Sam attempts to follow, he inadvertently steps on a wire that alerts the crocodiles. They begin to advance toward him. Kyle tries to call for help using a radio, but within moments, a crocodile attacks Sam, decapitating him. Panic ensues, and Malika is left in shock at Sam's demise. Dom lifts her and hurries her inside, securing the door to prevent the crocodiles from entering. Kyle's distress call has been received, and assistance is on the way. Kyle retrieves a nearby firearm, and the 4 individuals prepare to depart, anticipating another encounter with a crocodile. The reckless Alice approaches the creature as if it were a companion, extracting a crocodile egg from her bag and offering it to the reptile. It is astonishing how foolish Alice can be. The crocodile lunges at Alice, biting her arm. In response, Kyle fires at the crocodile, causing it to release Alice. Kyle takes another shot, while Dom attempts to subdue the crocodile and assist Alice simultaneously. Kyle urges Dom to move away from the area, but the crocodile then targets Kyle, who narrowly evades the attack. Spotting a nearby chemical drum, Kyle rushes towards it, pushing it in the direction of the crocodile. The chemicals spill out, and Kyle ignites them with her lighter, engulfing the crocodile in flames. They successfully escape, and a helicopter arrives for their rescue. In the subsequent scene, Kyle stands beside a water canal, scattering her brother Jamie's ashes into the water, accompanied by a flashback of Jamie encouraging her to ride a bike by presenting her with a helmet. She rides the bike and returns, achieving her goal. Meanwhile, Frank, who was left behind in the factory, is gravely injured but still alive. Despite his condition, he finds the strength to take a drink of liquor, and the film concludes with this moment. If you enjoyed this movie, please remember to subscribe to the channel.